We are here getting ready for day 2 of the Supplier Summit, and yesterday was fun, but it was hard. Oh my God, I cannot believe how hard it actually was. I produced a lot of events. Well, I did produce a lot of events. I don't do so many events anymore, but I produced some big events. Like a couple weeks ago, we did Made in America in Philly. We served around 30,000 people. Not that many, but we served a lot of cocktails. And I felt as physically exhausted after that as I did from the Supplier Summit yesterday. So it's just me. It's just an event I created because there's a disconnect between the buyers and sellers of liquor, and so I figured I'd reach out to some friends and say hello and say, hey, would you want to talk about this thing that you're really good at? And it's a virtual summit, so you don't have to be present. You don't have to be live, although it is recommended because these are basically, we sold about 180 tickets. Most of them were free. So I'll just run you through the economics of this summit. This is a proof of concept. It was just to see if I could do it. I already had the software from AppSumo, and so I have lifetime licenses to the two major pieces of software that you need to produce a live summit. And which are one of them is Hey Summit, which is a live streaming platform, or I'm sorry, a summit platform, and then the other one is called Live Webinar, really clever name, and that is the live streaming hosting service. Now those are typically the two most expensive parts. So for Hey Summit, I would be paying like around $100 a month. For Live Webinar, for what we're using, it would be around $197 a month. But I got it not for free, but I spent about $400 on that software, and coincidentally, the summit has made about $400. The objective was not to make money. The objective was for visibility, to fill a need in the market, and to promote Who's My Rep and my business as well. And as well as making really cool, strong connections with people that, mostly people that I didn't know, but a few people that I did know, and being responsible for the quality of the seminars has caused me to listen very, very intently on what they're talking about. So it's been a tremendous learning experience for me. We're going live again in about an hour, so I'm looking forward to that. My presentation is at 11 o'clock, I think it is, Eastern Time, and I am not completely prepared for that, but it's about tasting scripts. And tasting scripts are something that I feel very strongly about because, during the pandemic, I spent a lot of time sequestered in a house just learning about sales and marketing because if you can sell things, then you don't have to worry about money anymore. And so money was a big factor during COVID for me, and it was stressful, and I was just like, I need to get really good at sales. And so I just learned how to define a process that is not creative. It's just been proven time and time again that there is a process to sales. And if you have a definable, repeatable process, then you have an articulated and a predictable stream of revenue. So that's kind of the nature of the talk that I'm doing today. It's about the sales script specifically, although we do touch a little bit on, although I will touch a little bit on cold calling, and just some scripts for leaving a voicemail, sending a text message, that kind of stuff. Although because I said that, text message, you don't use text messages for cold calls. That's spammy and gross. So there's a way to do that nicely and cool. So another fun thing that happened today is I dropped my kid off for his second day of school, and he has these little little preview sessions where he's only in school for an hour. So I'm grateful to Brittany for taking the burden of looking after the kid while I can run this, because my day-to-day is extremely stacked with the Supplier Summit. They go every hour on the hour from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So it runs from 10 to 3, and it is like intense. So today I actually I've been working with a VA. I've worked with VAs for years now, and I finally found one that I really like. His name is Hamza, and he's from Pakistan, and he is really creative and proactive, and I really enjoy his hustle. And so today, I actually asked him to outline what the things that he would need to manage somebody else. And so I have a VA managing another VA now, and I'm very excited about that because I made a lot of mistakes with the summit. I'm not going to lie, like I it's not all perfect. There's some technical issues, although much less technical issues than I thought were going to happen. But connecting to the platform is all automated and synced, and that was the reason I invested in these two pieces of software, was because they talk to each other. So the technical problems have been pretty mellow. Some people are just like, I just bought a ticket and I don't know how to get in. By bought a ticket, I mean, probably, a lot of tickets were given away for free. Um, but um, but yeah, so like a lot less technical problems than I was anticipating. Um, but we'll see what happens today. But it's super cool. I mean, there's like live chat capability. And people are just giving these amazing presentations that I'd never. What I realized yesterday was that, when I went to Tales of the Cocktail, when I went to San Antonio Cocktail Conference, BTB, I didn't really pay attention to the seminars too much because I wasn't too invested in them, and and by being invested in the Supplier Summit webinar, I'm getting so much more knowledge. I mean, if not a lot, we sold 188 tickets. The average attendance is like around 35 people per talk, and so that means that about 10 people are showing up, which is great. That's like a lot. But because it's virtual, people can consume the content later. They can get reminded of it, and if you have a ticket, then you have access to it through the end of the month. Although it's a free seminar, so it's basically gathering a lot of content, not only for me, but also for the presenters. So what I'm offering the presenters is that it's an opportunity to, one, get a solid presentation down, get in front of potentially new people, probably new people, and it's a way to get some content for yourself. So I took a look at Chris Maffeo's presentation today, and it was awesome. It's intense, and it's a very well articulated, nuts and bolts, no ambiguity strategy to get your brand to market. And I'm excited for that platform. But what we're going to do with it is we're going to take that video, we're going to crop out the outside, which is the chat and the video of the presenters, and he's going to turn that into a webinar, I hope, anyways. I'm just super excited to develop these value added relationships with people who are much smarter than I am, who are doing things that I don't know how to do. And now, because I'm so invested in the content and the actual value for you, the viewer, I am learning a lot. I mean, I watched Rev Ciancio's presentation yesterday about how to beat the online platforms and his articulated marketing machine that he provides for his clients in his restaurant marketing firm, and it just completely made me reevaluate what am I doing. What am I doing with my clients? Like, how am I packaging this up? So, if you happen to be my client, if you happen to be seeing this, then look out, because there's going to be a lot of fun stuff coming. A lot of it's going to be based on consumer psychology, and just the basic nuts and bolts. Like, I get so hung up sometimes with the technological elements, like with my marketing operating system, that I forget to define and master the fundamentals, which is your restaurant is going to be built on the people that come back, and it's hard to acquire a customer for the first time. And we should be focusing our attention and energy on discoverability. Yes, absolutely. Like, you need to be able to be found, but also getting your clients back. That, and then Diana's summit. Diana's talk was about the 30 for 30, which is a product that she developed for just prompting you to through 30 days of content, because oftentimes that's a really difficult thing for people to do. So I was really excited to see her talk about that, because it just seemed so simple, and it was just like one of these like head smacking moments where you're just like, oh, duh. But yeah, so she has a thing that it's actually built on my platform that will email you every single day what to talk about, how to talk about it, and what to do. And she has versions for suppliers. She has versions for brands. She has brands and suppliers, restaurants, and also influencers. So she's she did a really great talk. The next talk after that was a talk about from Bianca and John Gorman, who were talking about email marketing for. They were talking about email marketing for distilleries, wineries, and breweries. And again, it was just so simple. it just seems so, like I just felt so stupid that I didn't know this already. But they uncovered some things that I thought were really interesting about how to engage people and how to collect data from people that want your stuff. And I still feel like I don't live in this world anymore. But before I lived in a world where I thought sales and marketing was icky, and that you know people didn't need what I had, and I was taking money from them, and it was a very negative mindset. But now I'm just like, what I do is great, and it adds a lot of value, and I don't mind charging what I charge for my services, and I love it. And so it's like, that's kind of where I've arrived at now. But it's like, you know, if you don't love what you're selling, if you're not happy to take money for it, then you should stop selling it, or work on your kind of, you know, on how you think about things. So then my talk was after that. I went crazy deep on as deep as you can get in 35-40 minutes about cold prospecting. I'm a big tech guy. I love software and automation. I'm not like tech like a coder guy, but I just enjoy the products that coders make. I enjoy integrations. I enjoy getting software to talk to each other. So my talk was primarily based around how to acquire data for bars and restaurants, so that you can tastefully and patiently present an opportunity for them to engage your brand. And so I went through the various tools. I'll put it up on my YouTube channel eventually, but it's actually there. It's just unlisted. But I put that up there, and that was really revealing for me, because I'd never discussed and articulated the process. I'd always just been kind of a frenetic worker where I'm just like, okay, well, this needs to happen. What do we need to do to make that happen? But this time I was able to kind of sit down and define my process, and that's going to help me share that with people like VAs, for instance, that can kind of do some of that work for me. So again, it's another value of producing a summit, another value of presenting at a summit. So if I call you to present at a summit, then there's a ton of benefit, because one, you get to articulate your process, and you get to share that with people like you. The people that you're sharing that with may not want to do that themselves, and so they may hire you to do this for you, to do that for you. And also, as a presenter, you get the information of the people that showed up. So we'll give you their email addresses, because so you can follow up with them with an offer, and you also get the video itself. So that way you can chop it up into a million different things. I use a piece of software called Repurpose, so you're going to start seeing a lot of little snippets. Part of the purpose of doing this video is actually because I want to be able to. It's like doing a static video that's live on YouTube. It's like basically like a tweet. It just doesn't really go anywhere. So recording this and having the information what I can do is I can take the long form video and then chop it up into 100,000 tiny little pieces. I use a piece of software called Content Fries, and then I put that through Content Fries. I chop that up into like less than a minute videos that are vertical. Put that on TikTok, YouTube Reels, Instagram short, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels, and that's the kind of stuff that you just kind of put out there, and eventually it starts gaining attention. But it's a long game. You don't do it to get famous overnight. I'm not like Mr. Beast. I'm not giving away $1 million for eating a pile of hamburgers or whatever the fuck he does. But I mean, what he does works, so great, good for him. But yeah, so I'm excited for day 2 of the Supplier Summit. We have a couple people on deck that are really, really interesting. So today is going to be we're going to talk about healthy cocktails. I got to tell you, I'm a little skeptical on this. How do you position cocktails as healthy? I think is not necessarily irresponsible, because there's got to be some context there. But I mean, alcohol isn't really healthy, and I don't think that there's any way to justify that. But we do things that are unhealthy that are awesome all the time, like say skydiving, for instance. Skydiving, you might die. All right, so after that is the ultimate tasting script, where I'm going to talk about the exact script that we've used to build businesses for our clients. And then Steve Myers is going to talk about narrow and deep, how to how to bring your brand to market. So this is going to be hopefully a very valuable seminar, especially to entrepreneurial brand owners. And then April Wachtel is a kind of a hero of mine. I just admire her hustle, her depth of her, like her seam, like her the like wisdom beyond her years. And so she is a very deep thinker. I very much appreciate how she approaches solving problems and how she approaches doing the work that she does, building Cheeky, which is an uphill battle. It's a difficult thing to do, and so I'm looking forward to her talking about being the change that she wants to see in the world. So I could probably benefit quite a bit from that. So James Zinklin is going after that from Misguided Spirits, and what he's going to do is talk about how he built a well spirits brand out of how he built a well spirits brand during a pandemic. So obviously the bars were all closed, and I'm kind of curious how one does that, because if you can do it when all the bars are closed, then he must be off to the races while they're already open. Then after that is a pre-recorded interview that I did with Rob Ortiz. He's the vice president of Northeast Atlantic region for St. George Spirits. If you're not familiar with St. George Spirits, they produce these very small batch. I mean, they do some larger distillation runs as well, but they do a lot of really niche spirits. I mean, they'll distill like raspberries, and it takes an enormous amount of material to do that. So I'm kind of curious. I know the outcome of this interview. I know what he talked about, but it's a cool interview from a very small brand, a very small distillery, who's been in business for 40 years, and they do one thing, and they do one thing extremely well. They make, really, really great craft spirits. So that's today. Tomorrow is going to be more of the same, and then again on Thursday. So so I strongly encourage you, if you happen to see this before the Supplier Summit's over, check out the suppliersummit.com and see what we have going on, and see what all this work was for. I put about 100 hours into this, and it's absolutely worth it just for the knowledge that I've gained from it, not only in virtual event production, but also in kitten wrangling, and in developing my own content and moderating myself. Oh my God, moderating myself is so hard. Because you can't necessarily see your presentation and see the activity in the room. So you have to have kind of two screens, and you have to kind of pull, you just have to figure it out. But yeah, so day one of the Supplier Summit's in the bag. It's going to live forever on the internet. I couldn't have done it without the presenters, who basically volunteered their time to share their hard-earned wisdom. So thanks for that. I'm going to get ready for day two. It starts in about 40 minutes, and I will see you tomorrow.